All right. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is being recorded. This is the United Nations of Israel 2014-2015 Leadership Initiative for Nation Building and the 2019 Exodus Plan. We're sharing this information with our brothers in Israel as well as here in the States as our initiatives to work together globally to bring forth the nation of Israel and to prepare to lead the land of our captivity. So with no further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Our purpose, what is it that we must do? As Israel, we must expose the global lie with Yah's truth. Our mission is to bring forth our truth, which is the truth of Yah, to the rest of the world. By bringing forth this truth, we feel that we can reestablish Yah's divine authority in the earth, which is really his divine righteous governance. See, we are the people of Yah, and we're supposed to lead the rest of the nations in the worship of the Holy One of Israel. We have been operating under a lie, and that lie has caused us to operate outside of our inheritance. We are the people of the book, and we have a vast inheritance as promised to us by the Most High that includes the promised lands, that include all kinds of priceless artifacts that really represent our heritage and our history. But we've been operating as slaves and operating below our most valuable and grand estate. And the purpose of this call and the purpose of some of the things that we plan to do in 2014, 2015 will be to elevate us as a people to the status of a nation, that we may actually operate amongst the family of nations as a nation. Now, a lot of people think that that is not possible, but we're going to show you today that it's very possible. I've been involved in the process of sovereignty and nationality for many years. And the Most High gave me a recent epiphany when we fight these battles for jurisdiction. But the Most High put in my spirit that we had missed a step. The step that we had missed was authority, because without authority, you cannot have jurisdiction. So I wanted to start off by defining authority. Authority is the power to determine, adjudicate, or otherwise settle issues or disputes. Authority is jurisdiction, the right to control, command, or determine. The second definition is a power or right to delegate or given authorization. So we know who we are. We've been operating beneath our authority because our authority is given to us by the Most High Yah. So the authority that's granted is granted by Yah. It's not granted by man. We continue to give these people power over us because we're not operating as a nation. Yahweh is our power. He's the source of all power. He's divine power and authority which supersedes all man's authority. The question is, are we ready to operate in as a nation of people? Because if we do, it's going to bless all the people of the earth. Proverbs 29 says that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So right now, we're under a wicked rulership. The world needs to come back under the divine right rulership of the Most High. And in order for that to happen, in order for prophecy to be fulfilled, we have to operate as a nation. We can no longer operate as a bunch of people scattered about with no authority under someone else's jurisdiction, because we fail to see, know, and operate in that which the Most High has given us. This authority has been given to us by Yah. The fact that we are operating under someone else's jurisdiction is, we say it's a part of a curse, Well, we understand that the curse exists, but we also understand that we're coming to a time where we're going to come out of this curse and start to operate in the true authority, power, and jurisdiction of the Most High Yah. Self-determination is, we've been given the authority to now step out and to exercise our right of self-determination. This is a definition that's found in Wikipedia. It says, it states that nations based on respect for the principle of equal rights and fair equality of opportunity have the right to freely choose their sovereignty and international political status with no external compulsion or interference. We have this right. This is known throughout the international community. The question is, when are we going to stand up and take the divine authority and right to claim our birthright names, our culture, our nationality, and our inheritance? A lot of this starts with our names. We operate in this dual split personality kind of situation where we've got a Jake name and a Hebrew name. Well, supposedly the Jake name is our legal name and our Hebrew name is sort of a pseudonym. But in all actuality, we need to put our Hebrew names on the record and operate as Hebrew Israelites, not confused about if we're Hebrew Israelites or if we're Americans or whatever. We are Hebrew Israelites all the time. So a part of the process that we're going to represent today is the fact that we need to put our birthright names on the record first. That's the absolute first thing we need to do, is to operate as who we are and make sure that that is a legal standing in law, not just something that we call ourselves like a nickname, but an actual legal standing that's tied to our political status as a national or a sovereign national of the nation of Israel. We're going to talk about that in some detail as we go on. But jurisdiction. The thing that we're always talking about is, they don't have jurisdiction over us. We're fighting court battles, but we show up. And we need to stop showing up. We need to start operating through our nationality, and in that way we can still be lawful. We have consulates. We have people who, as a consul, will go in and deal with our people that have in the unfortunate situation of getting locked up or detained. They're under international law, under the Geneva Convention and the Vienna Convention, the two Vienna Conventions actually. There are rules of engagement that we need to start operating under, all right? So that when we start talking about jurisdiction, we're talking about it from an actual international law perspective, using these conventions. Here's the thing that amazes me. We will acquiesce and fall under any law they give us, but we won't stand up under international law for ourselves. See, we have to start thinking along the line of being a nation, and there are a different set of laws that deal with a nation-to-nation situation. So that's the area that we want to talk about as we move forward. So, are authority and jurisdiction important? Absolutely. Because everything we do is an act of worship. If we continue to fall under these people's authority and jurisdiction, we are in essence worshiping them. Redemption as a people and as a nation are clearly demonstrated by our actions. Yahweh is our power. We are his people. By gathering ourselves together as we're doing now, as a nation, we honor, praise, and worship our power, the Holy One of Israel. Our actions bring salvation and peace to the world, and all praises to the Most High. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Now, here's where I think our problem comes in. I think for the most part, we've been duped. The rhetoric and propaganda which spread globally through the media is only there to distract us from who we are. We know who we are. They know who we are, but we keep buying off into the rhetoric. We get so caught up in everybody else talking about one world government, new world order, that we failed to recognize that we are the new world order. We are the one world government. And that's backed up by Scripture. So we're the ones that are supposed to establish peace on earth. There will be no peace in the Middle East until we establish Yah as the right rulership in the earth. We can only do that if we're engaged in international affairs. First, we have to establish ourselves as a nation here in the States as well as in Israel. Because in all of the documents that we put on the record, we clearly state that we are non-citizen American nationals. We take a policy of dual nationality. We're non-citizen American nationals. We're not 14th Amendment citizens. And we are sovereign nationals of the nation of Yisrael. Well, we have a firm foundation here in the States. We got a firm foundation in Israel. We need to start making inroads into the diplomatic communities in both of those places and not ask them for anything, but just put the information on record, move and operate in a national framework. When I was in Israel, I was a little disturbed by the fact that Mogen Dawi, that flag, white flag with blue Mogen Dawi, was flying in front of the kifar, flying in front of the school. You know, we should be flying our own flag in front of our own establishments, in our own institutions. We should be flying our flag anywhere we are, because that ensign, that flag, is showing the Creator's name, is showing our sovereignty and nationality that we're standing for. If we're going to fly their flag, then we're basically saying that we're Israelis. If we're flying the American flag, we can fly both. On our paperwork, we have an American flag and we have our flag, because we represent a dual nation, a dual nationality status. And that dual nationality status is one of the things we're going to talk about today, because by us bringing that status on the record, we can now start to show who we are, stand up and worship the Most High, and no longer fall for the okie doke. Everybody else in the nation, everybody else in the world recognizes our power as a nation. I found this on the internet, and it talks about Black America ranks amongst the top global economies. We're actually ranked 17th as far as global power, as far as purchasing power. $957 billion in purchasing power. But we're spending our money financing our own captivity. The United States is the number one buying power, followed by China, and it goes all the way down to number 17 is Black America. So I'm done with this whole thing about we don't have any resources, we don't have any money. The problem is we give our money to everybody but our own nation. If they're going to rank us is among the top 20 countries based on gross domestic product, then there's no lack of money. Now, this figure comes from 2010. So in 2010, our buying power was $957 billion. But they estimate by 2015 that that's going to be 1.2 trillion, up from 957. So we don't have a problem with money. We got a problem with commitment. We don't have a problem with money. We got a problem with understanding, overstanding, understanding. Call it what you will, but we have a problem in our minds that we would rather finance our captivity than finance our freedom. There's over 40 million of us in America, quote unquote America alone. And that 40 million is generating over 40, it's like 43 million, is generating $1.2 trillion in buying power. That doesn't even touch what our people are doing in Africa, Israel, Brazil. It's more of us in South America than is here. So what kind of buying power, if we could start to bring all of our people together under one global banner of a nation and start to funnel our resources, not even a whole lot of money, just a little bit of our money follows our understanding as a people, we could actually start to make tremendous strides. All right, because the money's not the issue. Not to mention how many other people are going to grab hold to the skirt of Yaakov when they recognize that we are actually standing up for ourselves and actually becoming the nation that the Most High calls us to be. So, the United Nations of Yisrael is a government in exile, which is a political group which claims to be a nation's legitimate government, but is unable to exercise legal power and instead resides in a foreign country. That's us. We're a government in exile. But a government in exile that's still operating as a government can start to amass great power and great wealth. The government in exile usually plans to return to their native country and regain formal power. So if we know these scriptures and we actually know what we know, I'm not even talking about believing, I'm talking about knowing. If we know what we know, and we know the scripture says that we will return to our homeland one day, we need to start making moves in that direction as we speak. Ezekiel 37:22 and 23 states, "And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king of them all. And they shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms any more at all. Neither shall they defile themselves any more with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of all their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their Elohim." So that's a prophetic word from the Old Testament, from the Tanakh, that gives us an actual realization that we're moving in the right direction. No more two kingdoms. It shouldn't be, the KOY, the Kingdom of Yah, and the United Nations of Israel, and all these other little fractions and factions. It should be one nation. Now, it doesn't mean that people give up what they're doing. We talked to Wakoin Mikael in Guyana, and he said, hey, when I get back to Guyana, I'm going to bring out my contacts. I'm going to start to work along with you guys. Obviously, we're talking to the KOY right now. We're talking to, everybody and anybody that's out here that claims the name of Yisrael. The organizations don't cease. The organizations continue. But we start to funnel all of our collective power under one banner. That is prophetic. I will make them one nation. And we have to start making plans to have cities of refuge, places that we can go. We got to start looking at getting out of here. Now, everybody may not agree with that, but we believe that prophetically that time is now to start to prepare, and we're going to talk about that a little later as well. Okay? Our primary purpose as a nation of people is to lead the world in the worship of the Holy One of Israel, YHWH. He's the power. He's our Elohim. He's the God of hosts. And we must come out from under the mental, spiritual, political, civic, economic, cultural, and social bondage of our oppressor. This oppression is not just here in the United States. It's global. And Yah is going to use Israel to address this globally. So, to give you a little overview, and I think everybody has seen this, the United Nations of Israel operates as sort of an umbrella that gives us one focal point as a nation, but it's made up of different groups, organizations, camps, Knessets, all that's fine, individuals, but everyone coming together under a single banner and operating diplomatically as a nation amongst the family of nations is the power that we can pull together. It's the divine covenant government that the Most High has granted us. These are the different ministries that we've identified, but we can also add change. This is not written in concrete by any stretch of the imagination. We promote basically 3 levels of sovereignty. First, the individual sovereignty. We have individual paperwork that's tied to, the group or the the group or the camp or the Knesset. On our ID cards that we are ordering our first batch this week, we put the affiliation on the card of the individual. So if the person, say United Nations of Yisrael, but it'll say affiliate Kingdom of Yah, affiliate Hebrew Families of Ghana, affiliate Temple Kefarim. It doesn't, you don't lose your identity, but the collective power of the nation will give us the ability to operate in ways that we have not been able to operate before. A little bit of history and background is that when a few years ago, I came in contact with a group of individuals called International Council of Elders, and they had a mission to go before the World Court. Well, I quickly jumped on that because that was something that I was already interested in, and we together formulated a plan. Well, first we contacted the World Court, the International Court of Justice in Geneva, and they were very clear that they would not see, hear, or deal with anyone who was not a nation. They don't deal with NGOs. They don't deal with, nonprofits, 501c3s. They don't deal with, international organizations. They only deal with nations. Their whole scenario is a nation-to-nation, adjudication process. So we went about the process of finding out under international law, what does it take to become a nation? And, we followed that. It's something that anybody can look it up on the internet. We just looked it up and we started to follow the process. You need a charter, you need a constitution, you need a governmental structure, you need a flag, you need a seal. You have to have international treaties or the ability to enter into international or national treaties, bilateral agreements. All of these things we have put in place. We started right here in the United States because we knew that most of the people that are even in Dimona or in Israel are U.S. citizens living abroad. Some of the problems that certain people have run into as they deal with governments and presidents and kings is that if you're a U.S. citizen, you cannot enter into international affairs and negotiations because your status is that of a U.S. citizen. So therefore, there are laws against you, dabbling into international affairs. No matter who you say you represent, on the record, your political status says you're a U.S. citizen. So we embarked upon changing our political status so that we could actually operate as non-citizen American nationals and sovereign nationals of our own nation. That puts us in the proper perspective to start to deal internationally. So we understand that we're in the last days and that all nations of the earth are going to come to Yisrael. Isaiah 2:2 says, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain is synonymous with government, of Yahweh's house is synonymous with nation, shall be established in the top of mountains, or the top of all governments, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. So the Most High has already put everything in place, that all nations will flow unto Israel. All nations will flow unto this nation, and this nation will lead all nations. Well, the nations of the world are not going to be led by a congregation. The nations of the world are not going to be led by a Knesset. The nations of the world are not going to be led by an organization. Only nations are going to deal with other nations. Another prophetic scripture, Deuteronomy 7:6 says, for thou art a Kodesh, set apart people unto Yahweh the Elohim. Yahweh the Elohim hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So this set apart status the Most High has given us is not anything new. The question is, do you know it? And are we going to act on it, or are we going to continue to stay in the same state that we've been in? One more scripture. Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe and to do all of his commandments which I command thee this day, that Yahweh thy Elohim will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. So what the Most High has done is it's already done. It's a matter of, do we know it, and are we going to act upon it? Now, let's talk about the beginning of what we can expect to receive as we start to move as a nation. Okay? Bereshit 15:18 says, in that day Yahweh made a covenant with Avram, saying, to your seed have I given this land from the river of Mitzrayim, or Egypt, known as the Nile River, to the great river Euphrates. So, the modern day state of Israel is only a slither of the promised lands. It's currently occupied and defiled, according to Scripture. When we went there, we went to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is defiled. You know, there's nothing anybody can say. You know, if you go there for yourself, you'll see that they've defiled our land. But it's only a small slither of what the Most High has given us. The promised lands, the territories that we have defined in the documents that we have, literally shows all territories, lands, and waterways east of the White Nile down to Lake Victoria, which is actually at the equator. That's, you know, zero latitude. So when we look at our promised lands, the boundaries are vast. If you look at the White Nile, if you look at the Mediterranean, go all the way down to the equator, okay, every country, that's, you know, almost half of Egypt, Sudan, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Somalia, all down to Uganda, Kenya, all that's a part of the promised lands, because that's all east of the Nile. If you look west of the Euphrates, and you follow the water boundary from the Euphrates into the Persian Gulf, around the Strait of Hormuz into the Arabian Sea, that and follow that all the way down to the equator, that's the boundaries of the promised lands. And people will say, oh, that's too much. Well, guess what? That's what the Most High said. So let them tell us it's not. Because we're going to declare what our truth is. And if we start to declare what our truth is, we don't have to be bound by what they say it is. Because if we will stand up and bring forth the name of the Most High, he will defend his own great name. This is not about having standing armies. This is about calling on Yahweh Zebaoth. That the Most High, even when we look in the book of Kings, when, you know, Elijah was telling Elisha, those that are with us are far greater than those that are against us. He looked up in the hills and he saw flaming chariots all at on the mountaintop. He saw the host of Yah. The question is, do we really know these scriptures, and do we really hold them to be true, or is it just a Bible story? Now, I just want to put, you know, this list in front of you so we can start to understand that the promised land is so much more than we ever imagined. All these countries in Africa and in the Arabian countries and in Northeast Africa, Northeast Eden, all of these countries are a part of our land. What we need to do is start to diplomatically, as a nation, move to let these people know that the nation of Israel is here. You know, we're operating in peace under, you know, a diplomatic format. We want to sit down and talk about reclaiming that which is rightfully ours. I know to some people it sounds crazy, but I'm here to tell you that now is the time. And just like in the book of Ezra, they had to go before Cyrus, and then Cyrus made a decree and said, hey, go back to Jerusalem and rebuild. You know, when Moshe went before Pharaoh, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, they had to go before Pharaoh and say, let my people go. When these things happen, they happen through people, and then the Most High moves by his spirit. Genesis 26 says, and I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of the heavens, and will give unto thy seed all these countries. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. The Most High is telling us in his word that he's going to give us countries. These are the promised lands of the covenant inheritance given to the seed of Abraham. We are the seed, and as a nation amongst the family of nations, we are officially claiming our inheritance on the record. That's all this is. This is nothing new. This is scripturally based. We're just going to claim it on the record for ourselves. We've made a stand in Israel. We've been there 40 years. They know we're not going anywhere. They know who we are in America. That's why the Megiddo report came out, where they're afraid of a black Messiah. They know who we are, but we've never operated as a nation. We've always operated as less than. Are we going to stand up? So this is what we've done as the United Nations of Israel, and we've done it for all of us. This is not a us and they or we and them. It's all of us together. We took the lead, and now we're asking for the family to join in. We've put all 50 states and the District of Columbia on judicial notice. Okay? I have a package going out tomorrow to the U.S. Department of State and the Department of Justice, again, putting them on notice and presenting them with a diplomatic package. It's two different packages. The one going to the State Department is a diplomatic package talking about a diplomatic mission that we want to take to Israel and to Kenya, so that they're on record, so they know that we are sending people, as ambassadors and as diplomats to these countries to start to negotiate for our land and our rights and all those kind of things. Okay? We've gone to Israel and met with Ben Ami and the African Hebrew Israelites of Dimona, who are on the line with us today. And we are in the process of this. When this package goes out tomorrow, it will have our diplomatic mission brief and our itinerary for official UNY trips to Israel and to Kenya to actually sit down and talk with the actual diplomatic community as diplomats. And I've got all kinds of information I can share with you that kind of talk about the format. I got information from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website on how to make a diplomatic mission. I've got information from the U.S. State Department. So, we're doing this all in accordance with international law, with, the standards set in the U.S., the standards set in Israel. So we're not playing with this. We're not just doing this haphazardly. And I will share with the family all the documents that I have done the research on, so that we could go forward as a true diplomatic mission to at least these two countries and then expand from there. Because we have to open up diplomatic relations in the United States so that our people don't get caught up like Prince Asiel, dealing in areas that they aren't aware of, because there are conventions. The Vienna Convention of 1961 and 1963 are set up for all nations to operate under certain type of guidelines. All we have to do is follow the guidelines. We're not asking them for permission. We're just saying that we are people of law and order, and we understand that there are international laws in place. We're going to follow those international laws. The United Nations of Israel has come up with some global initiatives. And these global initiatives tie into everything that I've been talking about to this point. The identification cards and nationality cards are critical, because as we start to reach out to the 13 regions that we've identified on our website, we just took the whole world and broke into 13 regions so it would be manageable. As we start getting ID cards distributed all throughout the world, for example, let's just say that we go and we talk to the brothers and sisters that came from the Sudan and from Eritrea, and that marched on Tel Aviv. We have connections with some of these people. They know they're Israel. Let's start getting them ID cards. Let's start making them a part of a bigger picture, so that we can start to operate with those people as a part of our nation. The the Bedouin community, the African Bedouin community. We already have relationships. Let's start bringing them in, okay? So if we start giving ID cards out and start bringing our whole nation together globally, we become a force to be reckoned with. Now, not just ID cards, but nationality cards where they are claiming their nationality. So an ID card just says, hey, I'm affiliated with the nation. The nationality card says, I've done my paperwork, I've changed my political status, and I have a ID card as a national. So those are two different cards. Anybody can have an ID card. It's like being a member of AARP or a member of AAA. It's a membership card. It's an identification card. A nationality card comes with paperwork. Okay? Another one of our initiatives is Worship Yahweh in Yerushalayim, Sukkot 2015. We want to get as many people as we can to the land so they can reconnect with their land, language, and culture. The UNY Sovereign Land Trust is a part of our charter. We have 3 trusts that have been set up. One is to receive our lands and put that in trust. One is for health and human services, and another one is for financial and surety. So we have 3 operating trusts under the United Nations of Israel. As we start making diplomatic missions and start getting our land back, it just goes into the land trust. We have a global economic plan, a health and wellness plan, a legal defense fund and services, and the reclamation of ancient Hebrew Israelite artifacts. All of these things are talked about in great detail on the website. So I'm not going to go over them, but these are the things that we want to focus in on this year, 2014, 2015, because we know that our year starts, in April, and we use our own calendar. So that's why it's 2014, 2015 global initiatives. Okay? KOY jurisdiction closeout. We know that from our trip that a lot of the brothers and sisters are closing out the jurisdictions in the United States. And some questions that we had is, how will we keep the saints together, protected as we make the final Exodus? Who are the leaders that will stay behind and assist in the Exodus? What systems are in place to facilitate and orchestrate the Exodus? And when does the Exodus begin? And where do we send our 20 million plus saints? And that figure is 43 million of us in the U.S. And, people can say that, that many people don't know that they're Israel, but it doesn't matter if they know they're Israel or not. As we start to stand up, the Most High said in Daniel that all will awake out of the dust of the earth, not some. So we can rest assured as we start moving towards 2019, a lot of our people are going to wake up. And our question as a government that's responsible for these people, we're going to send them. All right. So what we would like to try to facilitate as we start to, get ID cards out to people, we must organize and mobilize our people around a single focus and single goal. And I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. We must develop an economic base that will support us as a nation of people. We must create financial systems to support the Exodus. If we unify ourselves together, we won't just survive, but we'll actually thrive in this situation. All right? These are just some things that I think that as a nation of people, we have to start looking at operating in a way where we have both sort of domestic and international strongholds. We got to work together with our governmental relations between us as a country, as a nation of people, the U.S. We have to start working with the government as a government and not as just a group of people. We got to start working with the Israeli government. They recognize the KOY and they recognize it as an independent group, but we got to elevate that to recognizing us all as a nation together, not as a bunch of individual groups. And all throughout Africa, we have to do the same thing. And we have to really look at the imminent collapse of this U.S. economy and what we're going to do. I mean, are we going to have any kind of emergency management services for our people? Because when this thing starts to collapse, see, the rise of Israel is the fall of Babylon. So if we're going to operate as a nation, we have to have services to support our people, to protect our people, to provide for our people. And we have to start thinking along those lines. We have to stop looking at ourselves as individuals and say, well, I can't take care of this, that, and the other. Well, remember now, it's $1.2 trillion of resources that we have not yet really pulled together. It's not us. All in the dust of the earth will awake. Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. Well, verse 2, I think. But it says that Michael, the great, Malachim, is going to start to battle on our behalf. People are going to start waking up. Things are going to change. And we have to be prepared. 10 areas. When we came back from Israel, we did a audio presentation of our trip, and we told the family this is what we experienced. And then in that, as we closed out, we had 10 areas that we wanted to collaborate with the KOY. 2 of the areas highlighted in red are the ones I want to focus on. I listed all 10 here. But the 4 hot spots are political status, change for leadership and individuals, the Nation of Israel United Prison Outreach Program, so I'm going to talk about in detail, national affairs with other governments. We've reached out to other governments. I know that the KOY has reached out to South Africa, reached out to the Zulu Nation, reached out to all kinds of different people. We want to really focus on more international affairs, more diplomatic training for our people that can go out and represent us as diplomats, ambassadors, and the like, consulars, and worship Yahweh in Jerusalem in Sukkot 2015. We can bring probably the largest group of Africans in the Americas back to the land, and show our people their true heritage, not as a Christian tour, as most of our people go now, but something that they can really tie into their own culture. We went out with Sar Eliakim, and we just had a wealth of information about the true Hebrew Israelite culture in Jerusalem, not what they tell you it is, but what it really is, and how they've hidden things and all kinds of things. We need to get more people involved. If we start right now and have people put money in, $200 a month, $300 a month for 10 months, or whatever the case may be, we could prepare and bring a large group back to the land. The word says that all males should go to the land, to Jerusalem, present themselves 3 times a year. So, let's start somewhere. Let's start with Sukkot 2015. So, as I start to close and wrap up, we have established the United Nations of Israel as a nation amongst a family of nations. We've done the work. We're moving in that area. We have everything under international law that's required. We've made our declarations and put them on the record in all 50 states. Soon with the State Department, soon with the Department of Justice, and then soon with other countries like Israel, Kenya, and the like. We have both national and individual sovereignty paperwork for our national interests on the record, and we want to expand that globally. We've broken the entire world into 13 regions, and we're looking for leaders in all of those regions. Those regions are, the United States is broken into 5 regions. I'm going to show you that in the next slide. Region 6 is Canada. Region 7 is Mexico. Region 8 would be the Caribbean, Central and South America. Region 9 is huge. It's all of the continent of Africa. Region 10, we got the Middle East. We're going to change that to Northeast Africa. Or we'll say Middle East and Northeast Africa. 11 is Europe, 12 is China, Russia, India, and Japan, and 13 is Australia and the Pacific Islands. So we've already broken the world down so that we can manage our people and our situations in those areas based on a regional breakdown. Now here's the breakdown of the United States. As I said, it's 5 regions: the Northeast, Southeast, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. And we've got people in all of those areas right now, and we're putting together a directory of all of our leadership in all of those areas so that we can coordinate activities by region. Okay. In each of those regions, we're looking to help people to take the transformative steps to become a part of a community. That's a personal, spiritual, character, social, cultural, health, wellness, and economic. All of those areas, so that we have a specific plan of action in each region, in each local area, so that we can operate as a nation, as an organized body. Okay? So, what is the single focus and the goal? We know that it's nation building, so let's just look at it. The focus is nation building of the United Nation of Israel. The goal is to prepare for the great exodus, the final return back to the promised lands that we've already identified in previous slides. And four areas, primary focus is political status, the IDs, the nationality cards, the diplomatic cards for individuals, leaders, and diplomats. Focusing, the strategy is basically to focus at the top and at the bottom. And what I mean by that is, if we focus on diplomatic issues right now, where we are sending in packages to countries and working to get our diplomats negotiating with other diplomats in countries, that's at the top of the food chain. We're requesting A1 and A2 visas, which are special diplomatic visas. We're going to create our own diplomatic passports. We're going to push the issue that we're a nation and we're operating at that level. At the bottom is the prison program, because as we are recognized and as we've already notified all 50 states. We've already put in our initial letter that we were going to reach out to the correctional department, so they already know we're coming. As we get registered with the State Department and the Department of Justice, we'll now be official that, we're not, you can go into the prisons as a Jew. You can go into the prisons as Islam. You can go into the prisons as a Christian, but you can't. But there's nobody dealing with our people. Our people have specific needs, and as we start to deal with them as a nation, and we start dealing with our people as nationals that are being incarcerated and held, it's going to force them to deal with our people differently. Okay, so the international diplomatic dealings at the top of the food chain, or the top of the pyramid, if you will, and with our people that are incarcerated at the bottom. Everybody in the middle will start to feel the benefits of these two initiatives. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you very briefly as I'm coming to an end of the solutions that we'd like to bring to the forefront. The nation of Israel can come together with all the people that we've identified and start to reach out to the prisons, because the U.S. penal system is literally a captive audience. I mean, we know that we're all in captivity, but they're more captive than we are. It's an untapped market of souls and needs of Yah's redemptive word, power, and process. So as we go to the prisons, we literally are creating, it's created for us extremely large potential for transference of wealth from this whole penal system to us as a nation. And let me tell you what I mean by that. But let me first give you a little bit of facts about the U.S. penal system. The incarceration rate in the United States is the highest in the world. We put more people in prison per capita than any other country on the planet. Okay? And according to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, non-Hispanic blacks make up 39.4% of the total population of jail in 2009. So this is an incredible number. To look at this chart, the United States, first of all, as I mentioned, is the #1 jailer in the world. We put more people in prison than anybody. Okay, but look at the disparity of how many of our people on the chart on the right are being incarcerated in comparison to other quote-unquote groups of people, whites and Latinos. So we are far and away, our people are stored in prison houses. Okay? So our job is to go in and start to provide services to our people that are a captive audience. Based on the Census Bureau, okay, the number of our people in the population is about 13% of the total population. And I don't believe that, by the way. I think that number is skewed. I think it's more than that because they don't want us to know how many of us are really out here. But they say it's 13.7%. Okay? The scripture says, but this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. For they are a prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. I think that we can say restore our people. And we can start off in focusing on areas where we already have presence, like Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Maryland, and Virginia. We already have people working in the prisons, but we can start to elevate even what they're doing by coming from the top down and forcing our people to be recognized as foreign nationals. And just that whole pushing the political status, diplomatic at the top, in the prisons, in the jails, these are foreign nationals being held. We have special ways to deal with foreign nationals held in foreign prisons, and it's going to change the whole dynamic as we start to move as a nation. Our people are foreign nationals held in foreign prisons. It changes how they're dealt with, and it changes how they see us as a people. Okay? Bereshit 15, it basically just talks about that we should know for surety that we're going to be held in this condition for 400 years. And after that 400 years, we're going to come out with great substance. Well, let's look at the wealth that is really that can be transferred if we just focus on the penal system. The penal system in the United States is the largest in the world, and it's a $70 billion a year gold mine. It's literally, if we just captured a single % of that by providing the unique services to our people, it would change the game. Okay? Deuteronomy 8:18 says, but thou remember Yahweh the Elohim, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant. So we know that there's a covenant in place. We know that we're coming out with great substance, and we know that the Most High has given us the power to get wealth. Well, if we tap into that $70 billion a year prison market by providing unique service to our people, it will change the game. Okay? We can provide spiritual counsel and guidance through the prophetic priesthood. We can provide unique food through the vegan diet. We can provide special Kingdom of Yah books and other cultural books. Cohen Michael Ben Levi. Hello. Then our can deal with them, and they have unique needs. By the Vienna Convention, they have to be dealt with differently. Okay? So these are the things that create a very unique opportunity for us. Now, I'm going to be, perfectly transparent. This triggered in my mind when I heard Habakkuk give his report at the State of the World. And I was like, whoa, that's huge. Tie that in with political status and then go in and make this a national program, starting with 5 states that we have a grip on. If we just fed the prisoners that identified themselves as Hebrew Israelites 3 vegan meals a day, that is a whole nother economic development plan We've got redemptive music, redemptive books, redemptive videos. Just in the food, the books, and the music alone. See, there's certain things that they have to provide. This $70 billion they're paying out to these major corporations to support the jails and the prisons. We need to divert some of that to us. Because when we identify our people as foreign nationals and their political status has changed, then how they deal with them has to change. Now, their diets have to be addressed differently. Their spiritual counsel has to be addressed differently. They don't want a Jewish rabbi to come in and talk to them. We want them to connect to our people, and we've already established that we've got things in place. The vegan diet is so powerful that the Israeli army decided, okay, well, we got to start feeding these people differently because they have a strict diet. So we have precedent that has already been set that we can leverage off of to make these things a reality. Okay? We have to press these people. We got to pressure them through diplomatic pressure to address the unique needs of our people. This creates institutional food service, vegan meals in prison, a demand that the spiritual needs of our people be met. All the things that I just talked about in the other slide, we can make these diplomatic issues. And now it changes the game in the prisons, and it requires them to have to deal with who we say to deal with to feed our people. That's a multi-million-dollar business all by itself. We already know that the kingdom has soul veg restaurants, so we already know that there's cooking facilities. All we do is add an industrial component to that, package meals up, and send them to prisons, and these meals represent a multi-million-dollar industry in and of itself. So here's our strategy, okay? Correct the political status of our national leaders and diplomatic corps. Claim Yah's inheritance, which includes just can you guys hear me? Okay. I just got a message that Prince Kaz couldn't hear. He needs to dial into the number that's on the email. Tamar, help. Okay. Help Prince Kaz be able to hear what's going on. Okay. All right. We need to pursue. Okay. We need to pursue peace without compromise. We can't let these people turn anything we're doing into any kind of terrorist threat. We already know that we are peaceful people. We want to bring peace. So no matter what they do, we have to respond with peace. We have to elevate our game as far as peace is concerned, so that they recognize that there is no peace without us, that we are the people of peace, that we are bringing peace, that the Most High made a covenant of peace with us, and that covenant of peace is going to change the world. We've got to put ourselves on the world stage. You know, we have to start talking about reclamation versus reparations. They don't have enough money to repay us. But if we reclaim our historical documents, if we reclaim that which is in the Vatican, if we reclaim that which is in various museums, trust me, our wealth is untold. We've got to move in total peace to provide the truth that will dispel the lie. And as we do that and move on these diplomatic missions, it will absolutely change the game globally. U.S.-Israeli foreign mission. We have to, start to come to them not just as the KOY, but as the nation of Yisrael. Use these conventions that have been put in place. We got to keep pressure on all of these, on both the U.S. and on Israel, to recognize our diplomatic missions. We're not saying, recognize us as a country. Because if they recognize our diplomatic mission, they recognize us as a country. So the strategy is, you know, push political status, push political status, push political status, okay, from the White House to the jailhouse, from the Prime Minister's house to the jailhouse. That will make them know that they have no jurisdiction over us. All right? As far as international diplomatic missions, I think 5 or 6 African countries outside of Israel, being Ethiopia, Eritrea, Kenya, Sudan, Ghana, and then some countries in South Africa. I know that you would know better. So once we identify those, we need to make our way to these places so that we can continue to put the world on notice, and the world will take notice of who we are. We have to go to them and say, let our people go. Make our reclamation pursuits a global diplomatic issue, and we will demand the return Hold on 1 second. Okay. We must demand the return of our people that they have in prison, the people that they have, you know, here in America, that they are holding us hostage and we don't even know it. We have to demand the return of our all throughout the promised lands. We have to demand the return of our culture and all of our cultural artifacts, all the resources that belong to us, the art, the artifacts. At the end of the day, we have to reclaim our nation. So the last thing of the 4 major initiatives is basically we got to get our people to reconnect to the land, the language, the culture. You know, we must reconnect to our Creator. And you cannot do that fully just hanging out in America. You know, we got to get back to our power. And the Most High says that He calls His name to dwell in Jerusalem. So when you go there, you're going to feel a connection. You're going to feel a connection to our power. And that power is going to really change the whole way that we operate. Okay? So the question is simple. Are we ready to work together to fulfill prophecy? You know, we just ask that everybody around the world get inspired and get involved. Start talking about what it is we're talking about. Start referring to ourselves as a nation instead of individual Knessets, individual camps, individual communities. We got to refer to ourselves as one nation of people. Because if we refer to ourselves as one nation of people, other people will refer to us as one nation of people. The nation building requires all of us to get involved. So we ask that everybody at every level get themselves focused and organized around nation building. And I thank you for your time. Shalom.
Shalom. Hallelujah. Right. See, we have your faces up here in Jerusalem, and we're meeting and talking, and a lot of the things we'll have to talk about face to face. But we say hallelujah and peace be with everyone. We have to go down and get ready for the International Youth Day